welcome to the last day of April 2020. What a long month. And this is episode 18 of Chat with Gunner. Thanks for listening yet again. Ethan, what up, bro?
There's my microphone.
There it is. There's that microphone. Man, what a crazy month April was. Pretty much locked down. We did a few podcasts about being locked down. We talked about some conspiracies. Talked about some small business.
God, it was a month ago we did the ones with Chris.
Yeah. So that
Doesn't feel like a month ago.
I know, right?
Jeez.
Crazy times. Bunch of things starting to open up a little bit here in Chattanooga. There for a while, I think the governor, Bill Lee, or whatever his name is, Governor Lee, whoever that guy is, decided to open everything up. And then the Chattanooga mayor, Andy Burke, was like, nah. Nope.
Nah.
Let's just not open up. And then he said, some people can open up, not everybody can open up. And then the hair salon said, hey, what about us? We are essential too.
Are you though, Karen?
Yeah, I get it. But
I don't think so.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of Facebook posts of hair salon owners. My cousin is a hair salon owner, and they were raising some cane about that. So, I feel bad for them for sure.
Yeah, I do feel bad. Like, I don't have zero empathy for everyone that's been locked down, but like at the same time, we've got to keep it locked. We're so close to the other side of whatever this is.
Yeah. Well,
but
is it anything? I mean,
it is.
It's something.
We've continued to say that it is something.
It's something.
Whether or not we know what that something is entirely different.
Yeah, man. This thing has been really weird, almost to the point where it's like, all right, let's just open it back up and see what happens.
That's a horrible idea.
Yeah. And, they are opening up gyms again. Not that I care, because I built my
you
home
don't
gym.
need one
Yeah,
anymore.
don't care anymore.
Nice.
Yeah, but they're opening gyms up again. It's like, so you can go to the gym, but you can't get your hair cut. You can go to the grocery store, but you can't get your hair cut. Right now, I need my hair cut. That's like I'm eating my beard as I'm eating food.
I snuck in. I barely got into my barber because he was like, listen, I'm doing X amount of appointments every day for the next couple of weeks, just so I know who's coming in, when they're coming in, no random people coming in.
Oh, so he's doing some underground hair
Well,
cutting.
no. He's in Georgia, so he's
open
allowed
now.
to be open. Yeah,
I gotcha.
But I barely scraped in this Tuesday to get my hair cut, and it feels amazing.
Yeah, my boy Lath, he's opening back up next week. I'm going to try to get him on the show eventually in here one day. But probably the best hair guy, what do you call it? Best barber?
Yeah.
Best barber in town.
So, like, to me, a hairstylist is somebody that you go to when you, like, want something specific. A barber is going to give you what you get every time. Just right.
So, he might be a hairstylist. I mean, he's like, I would say if he's not number one, he is a very close number two, and I don't even know who number one would be.
Yeah.
But Lath is really good at what he does. Prices have went up quite a bit since the college
days.
Mine
did too. I was like, wow.
But, it is what it is, and, you got to pay those people. They do a good job. I can't cut my hair, so I'm not going to complain.
Mine's just a guy over here on Ringgold Road, just like a random building. Yeah, it's just him. It used to be him and his dad. His dad passed, but he's just been doing it for so long. He can do all the hair.
Yeah, Lath had to come up. So he was cutting hair in the dorms in college, and then he started at like a little kind of like ghetto type place. And then he moved to like that mid-tier spot. Now he's downtown in a great spot, doing really good for himself. Really good for himself. So going to go check Lath out next Thursday. So I'll be freshly cut for the podcast next week. Yeah, finally.
Your beard's
my beard is out of control. I think I'm done with it. I think I'm gonna shave it. Yeah, I think I'm gonna shave it.
No, dude, you gotta trim down just once, and then if you don't like it, definitely trim it all the way.
Well, the best thing about it is it literally grows back in a month, so it's not that big of a deal. It's not like shaving your head and you gotta wait 6 months for it to grow back. My beard grows back pretty quick, and it's just time. I've had it for over a year now, so I think I'm just ready to get rid of it. Anyways, so guess what, man?
What? Did you get the sauna?
No,
Ah, damn it.
not yet. I'm gonna get that sauna though. I can't wait. We're gonna add that to the cart.
I'm gonna be honest with you. The more you talk about the sauna and the more I've looked into it, I'm like, hey, Gunner, can I come over and use the sauna?
Yeah, so 100% getting a sauna. Just a matter of when. I'm just trying to be a little patient and get it when the price comes down because I know that it's going to.
Well, it's been up since everything started.
Yeah,
From what I've heard.
yeah. So yeah, they're up like $500 right now. So, and it's just, I mean, Amazon's going to get them back in stock, and then they're going to run their Amazon Prime, and it's going to be $999, and I'm going to be pissed off if I buy it now for $1,500 for something.
100%.
You know, so just not going to do it. I'm okay. I can go out in the sun. I can sweat, but that was not what I was going to talk about. What I was going to talk about is sports are coming back, Ethan.
But which ones?
The only one that matters, and that is the UFC. Because
okay.
Daddy can then gamble again. And I'm going to win the $100,000 from DraftKings because that's what the payout is.
Is that what you've been missing?
Yeah. So
of all things of lockdown, you've been missing gambling.
Well, not gambling, but watching UFC.
Okay.
I mean, there has been 2 UFC events in 2020.
Jeez.
2. We are in May.
Didn't we have one? How many did we have in 2019? I want to say it was like at least close to 2 a week on average.
UFC?
Yeah.
So they would do 1 a week on average.
Okay.
Yeah. But now, UFC's about to roll out a show on the 9th, on the 13th, and on the 16th.
Jeez. That's
in
a
the
lot
same
of
place.
fighting.
In the same place with no crowd. So I'm extremely, extremely anxious and fired up for this card. So pull up UFC 249. Let's just, oh yeah, there it is. Ferguson and Gaethje. This is going to be incredible. Saturday, May the 9th, 10 p.m. So let's go through the main card right here. Everybody can see this.
Yep.
So if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see the video right here. You can see the clips. We'll look at it. But if you're listening, we're looking at the UFC 249 card, which is going to be not this weekend, but the next. I wanted to go ahead and knock this out. That way the podcast can be something different next week. But this card, this is the 3rd time that this card has been scheduled in the past couple months due to COVID-19.
Is this the one that they were going to do on an island?
Yeah. This was that one. Well, they weren't going to do this one on the island. They were going to do this one in California on tribal land.
Right.
Yeah, and then the government.
And then he ramped it up because he was just like, if I'm going on an island, it's going to be the best card ever, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, and so what's happening, originally it was going to be Tony Ferguson versus Khabib Nurmagomedov, and the 5th time that fight's been scheduled. The 5th time it's been canceled.
Jeez.
Yeah. So it's just cursed. It really is just cursed. Not going to happen. So what they've done is they've decided to go with an interim lightweight championship fight for the main event, and it's going to be Tony Ferguson, ranked number 1 in the world, against Justin Gaethje. This is going to be ridiculous. So this fight right here, if you had to pick like 2 of the most violent people at 155 pounds, that's probably number 1 and number 2. Khabib's undefeated and he's good. Yeah, Connor's good, like in a spectacular fashion. But as far as violence, Tony versus Justin is going to be ridiculous, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait for this fight. I'm going with Tony Ferguson on this one. So everybody listening here, you're about to pick all 13 of these fights correctly now. So Tony Ferguson is going to beat Justin Gaethje, and then he's going to go on. He's going to beat Khabib Nurmagomedov later on, because the winner of this fight is going to be the interim champion and then go on to get a real title shot against Khabib. So the co-main event is going to be Henry Cejudo, Olympic gold medalist, wrestler. He was he's the bantamweight champion right now, but he was also the strawweight. What's I say? He's a strawweight or bantamweight?
It says bantam.
Okay, so what is 125? Flyweight?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, so anyways, he was that champion, and then they stripped him of the belt because he wasn't defending it, and he's now just a bantamweight champion because he went up and won that not too long ago, and fighting the commentator, the analyst, and the legend, Dominic Cruz, coming off a lengthy span of being away from the sport. He's just been commentating for the most part. I think he was injured. I'm not 100% sure, but as far as fighter intelligence and fight IQ, I think that you put Dominic Cruz in the top 5 there. But then you also got to look at a guy like Henry Cejudo. I mean, he's an Olympic gold medalist. There's not many Olympic gold medalists ever to walk this planet. So, I mean, just saying you're Olympic gold medalist puts you in a different category. He's been training at a high level for such a long time, whether it was amateur wrestling, Olympic wrestling, or now the UFC. And he has incredible coaching. He's incredibly coachable. And it's just, I mean, he beat Demetrius Johnson. He was scheduled to face Jose Aldo, but Jose Aldo had to pull back because of his visa. And now we get Dominic Cruz on a layoff, a guy that doesn't believe in ring rust, but we all know that it's true. God, man, I'm picking Henry Cejudo in dominating fashion right here in the co-main event. We need to mark all these down. So we got Tony Ferguson beating Justin Gaethje in the main, and Henry Cejudo beating Dominic Cruz in the co-main. All right. Now, a fight that could main event any other night pretty much, because this card is so stacked. Francis Ngannou versus Rozenstruik. Dude, okay, so this is a heavyweight matchup. Both these boys are going to be making weight to weigh 265, so that's even better. And they're both animals. I know Rozenstruik has a bit of a background in kickboxing, I believe. If not kickboxing, it's Muay Thai. Still very much of a slugger is how I would kind of look at these. And when I'm breaking down fighting, let's just talk about this. When I'm breaking down fighting, I'm breaking it down as an athlete looking at athletes compete. Yes, I know that there's some people that are better fighters, and yes, I know that some people are more athletic and doesn't necessarily go hand in hand. But there's also something that you can kind of see among athletes or people in general is just that it factor and that competitive drive. And, you know, how have they lived the rest of their life? Were they always winners? Were they always successful? How many times have they lost at anything? That's kind of how I look at fighting. So pull it back up. I'm looking at Francis Ngannou here versus Rozenstruik. And obviously Rozenstruik is doing well in the early part of his career in MMA, but he doesn't have that much experience. Then you've got Francis Ngannou, who his only loss is to Stipe, who is the champion, and that was because he got out mixed martial artsed. I guess that's a word. As far as knocking people out, Francis is numero uno. He's got the highest velocity or the highest power behind his punch ever recorded on the punching machine that actually gives you like a square unit or force per whatever. Very scientific, very over my head, but I know that he hits the hardest. So this could really go either way. I'm predicting 100% a knockout. Someone's getting knocked out in this fight. But I'm going to go Francis because I want to see Francis versus Stipe again. I think Francis is eventually going to be the heavyweight champion. He's a freak. If you don't know who Francis Ngannou is, you need to Google him and look him up. All right. Number 4, Jeremy Stephens versus Calvin Kattar. Calvin Kattar, actually. So, this is one of the only cards in the UFC that has people that I've watched. Like, every single fight is someone that I either like or know of and like to watch them fight. Like, I've watched every single one of these people fight several times in the past couple of years, which is really cool. I guess that just means I'm a UFC fan now. I guess I'm called up now. I'm called up with the people. All right, so Jeremy Stephens and Calvin Kattar. I mean, I'm going Calvin Kattar on this one, mainly because he's a little bit younger. I just think that he's going to outclass Jeremy Stephens. Jeremy Stephens is great. He's a slugger. He's a guy that could knock anyone out on any given night, but I think that Calvin's going to be a little bit too much for him. So I'm going Calvin Kattar with a decision. going with the decision on that one. Oh, and by the way, the Henry Cejudo and Dominic Cruz, I'm going. That's a finish. That's a knockout. And the Tony Ferguson, Justin Gaethje, I'm thinking it's going to be a submission by Tony. Okay, so boom. All right. Calvin Kattar won that one. To open up the main card, Greg Hardy versus Yorgan De Castro. So De Castro is the only person on this card that I don't know who he is, or I haven't seen him fight or don't remember him fighting, which means it wasn't memorable. Greg Hardy, that's my boy right there. Yeah, he has some domestic violence on his background there, but people make mistakes. People do some things they wish they wouldn't have done at some points, and in those type environments, and when everybody gets all hot-headed, you make a stupid decision, and that lives with you forever. So all he can do now is try to get past that, and he's doing a good job so far. So former All-Pro, Pro Bowl defensive end Greg Hardy is taking on Yorgan De Castro. Greg has done good, but it seems like every one of his fights has a little bit of controversy to it. So he was beating the one guy, and then the guy was on the ground, and he kneed him in the face and knocked him out, and he lost by disqualification, even though he was winning the fight. His last fight, he got pieced up by a veteran in the UFC. Didn't really hurt him, but just kind of outclassed him. These guys, I believe, are on the same level. But then Greg is just so much more athletic and has that competitive spirit. So I'm going Greg Hardy by knockout on this one right here. So if I've got it planned, we're going to have 4 finishes and 1 decision on the main card, which is going to make for some exciting fights. So Greg Hardy by knockout on the main card. All right, scroll down there, Ethan. See what we got here. So that's the main card. Go to the prelims. There we go. So the prelims, where it usually drops off a little bit, is not going to. The prelim main event on ESPN is going to be Anthony Pettis, Showtime Pettis, versus Donald Cowboy Cerrone. So Donald now has fought in 2 of the 3 UFC events that are going to be taking place in 2020. And Cowboy said that he would like to fight in all 3 fights this week or next week. So he wants to fight on the 9th, the 13th, and the 16th. If he looks anything like he looked after the Conor fight, my man ain't fighting anytime soon. But I think that this fight against Anthony Showtime Pettis is a good matchup. Both these guys later in their career, they still have plenty in the tank. They can still put on a show. I don't think they're title contenders anymore, so now they should just kind of, search for those fights that are like this. Good prelim main events, good fight night main events. They both have good wins within the past year, but they both have some key losses in the past year as well. Man, Donald's just been on a little bit of a rough patch, but Anthony hasn't looked great. Dude, this is a great matchup just because these guys are kind of in the same spot right now. But if I was a betting man, I'm going to bet, which I am. I'm going to bet. I'd like to see the DraftKings numbers on this. I know they haven't came out yet, or if they have, I haven't seen them, so don't show them to me. God, man, I just feel bad for Donald. I'm going Cowboy Cerrone. I'm hoping he has a nice little comeback right here. Bring it home, Cowboy. All right, moving on. So, in another heavyweight bout, Alexei Olenek versus Fabricio Verdum. 2 veterans in the game when it comes to the heavyweights. 2 guys that have been doing it for a long time. Alexei actually was on the last card, and he looked good, but it seemed like he had a little bit of a problem finishing the guy that he was fighting. It was a younger guy, and he was able to get out of that vice grip, that anaconda-type strength that Alexei Olenek has, known for his submissions. The one thing that worries me with Alexei is that he's not always been a heavyweight. Like, I believe he started fighting at like 185 pounds back in the day, and he's just naturally kind of drifted up into the heavyweight division. And just to me seems like a journeyman fighter. Just takes a bunch of fights just to take them. Just your blue collar type fighter. Fabricio Verdum, I mean, he hasn't fought since 2018. I mean, your boy's just spitting off knowledge right here like he's a UFC analyst. And this is all. If you don't believe any of this is real, you can like check out all this stuff and you can verify me. You can go to Gunner, Google checks, fact checks, Gunner. Anyways, so Fabricio Verdum, man, I just looking at this fight, I don't know who the favorite would be. But I'm going to go Fabricio Verdum. Even though Alexi's been more current, been more active, I just got a feeling that Fabricio Verdum is going to take this one by knockout. Yep, that's what I'm going with, by knockout. Oh, and the Anthony Pettis Donald Cerrone fight, I'm going. That's going to be a decision. I think Donald wins by decision. All right, Carla Esparza versus Michelle Karate Hottie Watterson. Carla Esparza, former champion. Not many people know about that. Former strawweight champion. And then Michelle Watterson, more known for, I believe, what would be like her Instagram handle, Karate Hottie, and that type of stuff coming out. You know, people overlook her with her mixed martial arts ability for her and just kind of judge her based off of her looks and put her in that category. I don't think that you can do that with her. I mean, her last fight, she got beat by Joanna, but Joanna just went out there with Wiley Zhang and just had an absolute barn burner. The fight of the year so far, even though we've only had a couple cards, by far the fight of the year. That fight will go into the Hall of Fame as one of the best fights of all time. If you haven't seen that fight, you go right now and you go watch Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus Wiley Yang or Ziley Yang, whatever her name is. You go watch that one right now. That fight's incredible. But yeah, so her versus Carla. Carla is more of a wrestling background, and Michelle has more of a karate style. So it'll be interesting to see if Carla can get Michelle to the ground, and if she can she keep her on the ground? Because if she can't, I can see Michelle Watterson outstriking Carla. So I'm going to go decision win for Carla Esparza. Mainly because I just think that she's just going to continue to take Michelle down, and she'll win maybe like a split decision of some sorts. All right, scroll down a little bit. Next, we've got Uriah Hall versus Jacare Souza. Man, another great fight. Two guys that are also towards the end of their career, but can also go out there and put on a good performance and also knock people out. This fight is going to be a good one. Two guys that have similar styles, and two guys that are not going to waste time. Two guys that are going to go out there and try to knock each other out because they don't want to fight all day. The last Jacare Souza fight that I watched, I was not impressed. I felt like he was waiting back too much on his back, on his heel, on his back foot, just kind of waiting for the other person. I can't remember who it was he was fighting, but just kind of waiting for the other guy to do something. And the other guy did. I can't remember who it was, but anyways. And Uriah Hall, I haven't seen him fight in a while. Or if I have, I just don't remember it. Anyways, this is another great fight, great matchup. But for some reason, I just like to see a Uriah Hall right here on this one. I think Souza will be the favorite, so I'm gonna go Uriah Hall. All right, go to the early prelims. And never do you get to see really good fights on the early prelims, even though these are the people clanging and banging their way, scratching their way to the top. And you look at the main event for the early prelims, Vicente Luque versus Nico Price. A fight that could also main event almost any fight night, or at least co-main event any fight night. Or potentially, it could have been the main event for the prelims of this fight on ESPN, but it's not. It's going to be the main event of the early prelims, which is still fine. Nico Price is a guy that takes a lot of chances. He's coming out trying to finish you or get finished in the first round, and that's what happened to him his last fight out when who was he fighting? He was fighting a stud. Anyways, he's up and coming. Oh man, I can't remember his name. Anyways, but Vicente Luque, he was in a barn burner in his last fight too. He got pieced up. I think Stephen Thompson maybe is who he fought last. Anyways, I'm going Vicente on this one just because Nico takes so many chances. I think Nico could potentially win the first round. But if Vicente can survive the storm, I see him winning by decision or by late stoppage in the third round. Bryce Mitchell, one of the most entertaining fighters in the UFC right now, young kid from Arkansas. He's on a campaign to get camouflage shorts from Reebok. I love it. This guy's hilarious. If you've never listened to Theo Vaughn, go to the Theo Vaughn podcast and listen to the interview with Bryce Mitchell. Bryce Mitchell's fantastic. Charles Rosa, also good. It's going to be a good clash of styles. Styles do make matchups. What I can see and what I predict out of this one and what I hope happens, I'm trying to give insight here based off of what I actually believe the outcome will be, not necessarily on who I hope wins. I just really enjoy watching Bryce Mitchell fight. I think that he's going to be a star in the featherweight division, and he has all the skills to be great, and he's only getting better. So I'm going with the young boy Bryce Mitchell out of Arkansas. And to start the fight card off, in the only fight of the night that is kind of lackluster, Ryan Spann versus Sam Alvey. To me, this is the only fight on the card that is a loaded fight. And by loaded fight, I mean they're trying to get somebody over. And by get somebody over, I'm using wrestling terms and saying they're trying to pick their winner as they pick the matchup. So Sam Alvey is on a little bit of a losing streak towards the end of his career. Ryan Spann, opposite side of the spectrum, on a little bit of a winning streak towards the beginning of his career, just a little bit older of a guy. And I think Ryan Spann is their winner in this one. I think Ryan Spann knockout over Sam Alvey. And Bryce Mitchell is going to beat Charles Rosa by decision, by the way. Forgot to mention that. But, man, that's UFC 249. The only fight that's not happening is Amanda Nunes versus Felicia Spencer, and that's because Amanda is pulling out due to injury or due to not being able to put together a full camp. Anyways, you can go to the other screen. But, yeah, man, that's going to be a great card. And I'm not sure as to how everything's going to play out just because we're coming off of the COVID-19. We're coming off of lockdowns and shutdowns. How have these guys been training? Have they been going, can you go to your MMA gym and train? I'm assuming so. But how do you train with somebody and practice social distancing at the same time? That's a fantastic question. So it's going to be interesting to see how everyone comes in as far as in shape, how the weight cuts are, and all that jazz. Because usually it takes, with the way these fighters walk around and their walk around weight, I would say they would need at least 3 weeks notice to cut weight, reasonably. And that's about what they're getting here as far as when the fight was confirmed. The one thing that worries me about Tony Ferguson, you look at Tony Ferguson, and he made weight for the last fight, even though it was canceled, because he's an absolute savage, and crazy people do that. Did you see where he did that? Dude, so he literally, the fight got canceled a week before it was supposed to happen.
Mhm.
Everybody else just chilled. My man Tony Ferguson cut weight for a week and made 155 pounds on fight day.
Jeez.
Ridiculous. Complete savage. So I'm sure he'll be fine. I just can't wait. I'm just ready to see some sports.
You need something.
Dude, I didn't realize, everything that I enjoyed, I don't think, when it came to this quarantine, this shutdown. The first month or so, it wasn't that big of a deal. But just looking back, we've got to have some sort of system in place moving forward with this stuff because, just to shut the planet down for a
Are you talking just sports, or are you talking everything?
kind of everything.
Okay.
There just needs to be.
I thought you were just like, we've got to have some sort of inside sport. Damn it.
Yeah, just something. I don't even know.
What I find very interesting about sports is this is when esports have really shown out of hey, we don't have to be in front of people. We don't have to be in front of a bunch of we don't have to even be face to face.
Yeah.
We can just play the championships of League of Legends, CS:GO. I haven't kept up with it because I still don't care.
Right.
But that's pretty interesting.
I was listening to Rogan's podcast, and he was talking about virtual reality and how it's kind of starting to catch it. The technology is starting to catch up with the idea.
Oh yeah. We're at the point with VR, and I'm always the video game guy on here, but we're at a point definitely right now that we are finally able to have just a headset and the two controllers. You don't have to be hooked up to a big computer like mine. You don't have to be wired into the fucking ceiling.
Right.
It's just built in.
Yeah.
And it still looks great. The main issues with something like VR is, one, the motion tracking, being able to know where the headset is, but also keeping that headset at 60 frames or higher per second, because anything lower, people start getting motion sick because your actual eyesight is, I want to say 300 or something odd frames per second. It's instantaneous.
Yeah.
But if you have anything less than that and you're trying to get immersed, you'll just get sick. So we're finally hitting that point where we can do that mobily, and the next step is actually getting something grand scale.
So Rogan was talking about they have something in California called the Sandbox, I believe. Anyways, you go to it. It's like a big open warehouse.
Yep.
You pick a game you want to play with your buddies, whether it's like a shooting game or something, and you just walk in there and you play.
It's like the Star Trek hollow deck. It's pretty cool. I've seen a few of those things at E3 that I've kept up with.
Do we have anything like that in Chattanooga?
Not yet, but you know what? Maybe that's a good business opportunity to get into, because people will eat that shit up.
Yeah.
It is literally just being able to say hey, put on this VR headset. Here's your gun. Walk into basically a paintball or an airsoft arena.
Yeah.
And you just have to have that same arena put into the game, and people should be able to walk around no problem.
So the guy that is one of the lead creators on Doom,
Yes.
he was on Rogan's show.
Yep, I remember.
So he's also working with the people at Oculus.
Yes.
Am I speaking?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So at Oculus,
You're doing good.
and they are trying to figure out a way, I guess, to it's just the headset and just the handheld things or whatever. There's no wires, like you said.
Yeah.
But they're you could be in a room that's 10 by 10.
Yep.
And you could just hit 10 by 10, and it only does the virtual reality in a 10 by 10 space.
Yeah. That's how it's set up now.
Okay.
Is the pro versions that still have to be hooked up to a computer, and even I think the Oculus Quest, which is the one that's just a headset, just controllers. You set it up in your room. You have however much space you have, and for most VR games, you don't have to move around that much.
Right.
You just have to. It's like a Wii. You just have to have that much space.
Yeah.
And in VR, when you first set it up, you draw the area with the controllers. You go as high as you can. You go as low as you can. You go as wide all the way around in a circle or a square, whatever you do. And when you get close to that, it'll like break the immersion of the game. Be like, hold on, you're walking out of your predetermined space.
That's cool.
Back up. So I mean, the technology is already there for something like that, where it knows how far you can go. So maybe like some games will like render in at the same time as you're playing, and it'll tell you, oh hey, you can't. I mean, there's a cliff there.
Right.
There's a cliff there because you can't go any further anyway.
Yeah.
So,
dude, let me tell you something. One of the reasons I got away from video games as much is because I just hate sitting down for so long playing something. But if you can tell me that I can go rent a 100 by 100 warehouse space, and your boy can become the lead character in Grand Theft Auto,
that'd be pretty cool.
I will be the skinniest person on the planet. I won't do anything but just
here's
Grand
my
Theft
thing.
Auto.
I've always said that video games are a good way of getting younger generations like mine into wanting to be active. Fuck, Pokemon Go that was on people's phones 5 years ago now has, I think they gave the metrics of how much people are walking now, and like you get certain stuff for like you get new, more Pokeballs to use every 5 kilometers you walk. So people are going, if they want to not spend money, they'll go walk, and it's always a good thing when you can mix exercise or at least activity with video games. The Wii, of course, was an amazing piece of technology to just get people to stand up instead of sit down.
Yeah, for sure, dude. I'm with you on that. I'm all about walking right now too. So I've been walking every day since this quarantine. The quarantine has been great because I've been able to put in some new habits. I've always had some decent habits, but I've been able to put in some new ones. One of them was not just tracking what I eat, but actually measuring what I eat. I realized that writing down what I eat doesn't matter if I don't write down exactly how much of it I'm eating. So I've been kind of doing a disservice to myself for a while, writing down what I was eating, because my lazy ass was not writing down what was in what I was eating. So, okay, Gunner, you ate Oreos. Well, did you eat one Oreo or did you eat 20 Oreos? I don't know. I can't look back and see that information because I'm an idiot. I just wrote down Oreos. So literally, for almost a year, I just wrote down what I was eating. But I didn't write down what it was in what I was eating. So now I'm doing that. I've been doing it since April 6th. I've got a spreadsheet, Ethan, because we're going to do we're going to put this workout collage type thing, day in the life of Gunner, and we're going to do this video. Yeah. And it's going to be good. That's exactly what it's going to be titled, Day in the Life of. We're going to do a weekday version. We're going to do a podcast day version. And then we're going to do a weekend version. Exactly.
Sounds good.
Yep. We're going to do one video a month. And we're going to start that eventually. I don't know when, but eventually. Yeah, so I started walking through this Corona deal. Started tracking my food, my calories. And then I was like, oh, no wonder why I'm gaining weight. Or, hey, no wonder why I'm staying the same weight. Or, guess what? I can do good all week. And on Sunday, I can screw it all up. Because I did that last week. It's amazing. And you really don't lose as much weight as you think you're going to when you're looking at numbers. When you turn your body into a number and just to an experiment, it's a little bit different. So I've figured out that my metabolic rate is not actually what it says it is on paper. It's a little bit different. That calories consumed is included with your calories burned via your Apple Watch or whatever heart rate monitor you're using these days might not be accurately correct when it comes to, like, let's say your metabolic rate is 2,000 and your iWatch says that you've burned 1,200 calories. So it's 3,200 calories, correct? Correct. That's math class with Gunner. Now, if you eat 3,150 calories, you might not be in a deficit. Maybe there's 50 calories you forgot. So maybe you're at 3,250. Maybe now you're in a surplus. Now you're storing fat. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're going to mess up, undershoot. So what I've realized is that I kind of need to eat like 2,000 calories and then live my life, and I can lose fat every day. That's the one thing I've noticed within 1 month of tracking my actual macros and my calories is that I eat too much food, Ethan.
That's everyone's problem.
Yeah, I guess when I was in, and you know, when I was in college, I couldn't eat enough food. I literally could not eat enough food to keep my weight. But then I started looking back. So, did you know that walking for an hour is going to burn more calories than you could ever burn on your most intense workout?
Yeah, I did actually know that because I've been looking into like just simple exercises to do as I do everything else in my life.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Now, it's not going to, break your muscles down and you're not going to like build muscle walking. But as far as cardio goes and fat loss goes, walking might be one of the best things you can possibly do. Why? Because you can do it for a long time, and that's how you burn calories. You burn calories by moving a distance for time. And the better in shape you get, the more calories you can burn in that time frame. So that there's a myth about like if you're in really good shape, it's harder for you to work to burn calories. No, the more in shape you are, the more efficient you'll be at burning calories. So what I've been doing is at lunch time, I walk 30 to 40 minutes, which is between 2 to 2.5 miles. That burns for me, 220 plus pound male, 29 years old. That burns between 200 and 300 calories. So that's a pretty good, marker for the day. But where these Apple Watches and these heart rate monitors mess up, I believe, is that say when I'm working out at night and I hit the strength training portion of my watch. It burns calories like I'm burning when I'm walking, which I know is not accurate because you're only burning calories when you're performing the set, I believe. But it's measuring your heart rate and going based off what your heart rate runs per minute. That's how it's kind of calculating your burnt calories. So it'll say, I'll burn like 500 calories in an hour-long workout, which I just don't think is true. So I think I was overshooting over inputting my active calories through the month of April. So I'm trying to make some adjustments in that during May. I'm going to, I guess in another month I'll break this down, see how it goes. Because I'm going to literally have this thing spreadsheeted out. Calories consumed, my metabolic calories burned just by breathing, my active calories burned, and then I have my total calories, like my net calories at the end of the day. Then I have that converted over into a formula where it tells me how many total calories I've burned throughout this whole entire process, and the result would be how many pounds of fat I should have lost, which right now is like at 3.6, which if you look at the scale, it's right on it. It's weird. It's like, oh man, I only lost 3 pounds this month, but if that 3 pounds was fat, I think that's true. I mean, I feel like I'm leaning up enough to where I've lost about 4 pounds of fat. So at the end of this whole experiment, which is 16 weeks, so it puts me right there at the beginning of August, I believe is week 17 when I'm testing. I should be like 15 pounds down total, roughly. So that puts me at like my end goal would be like around 205 to 208. We'll see what happens, maybe 210. But if I could lose another 10 pounds of fat, I'm going to be pretty lean at that point. And then I'm going to be like, okay, so it took you 30 years to figure out something that you learned when you was in kindergarten. Sometimes it just, like, I'm an idiot. Like, I literally, I'll be like, oh, you can outwork a bad diet. Well, no, you really can't. I mean, you can, but you can't.
You can if you break your bones doing it. Like, you have to work really, really hard to outwork a bad diet.
Well, and back to what I was saying, like, so in college, I was trying to realize why I couldn't eat enough. Well, you had to walk to class. Every walk to class was 10 minutes. Every in between classes was a 5-minute walk. you add that up, 5 classes a day or whatever it is, and walking back to the arena, and we had to walk to our practice field, and everything we had to do, we had to walk, and we had to walk around the arena for meetings, and so I was walking a lot more back then, which burns the most calories over time. And then when we was eating food, was just throwing in carbs just to kind of get quick energy and nothing to really sustain you, or just junk. Man, I don't know. Then workouts and practice.
I definitely remember in high school, at my lowest weight, I remember looking back and being like, how the hell was I so fat? And then I was like, oh yeah, I started marching band, which even though I didn't march myself, I was still moving speakers and xylophones and my soundboard for the front ensemble.
Yeah.
And then on the off-season marching band, I was doing preseason, season, and postseason of soccer.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of either walking or straight up the hardest run you can ever do.
Right.
So, like, yeah, it's crazy how, looking back, I'm like, I could have really gone down if I just ate better.
Yeah.
That's all you had to do.
Yeah, literally, that's all you have to do. So I know for this month, pretty much, that if I eat between 2,000 and 2,500 calories, that I should always be in a deficit, because my average energy spent over last month was, I believe, right at around 3,000. 31. Well, actually, it's 3,400, but I don't believe some of those numbers were correct. So I'm going to say 3,000, but my average energy consumed, my calories consumed, was 2,900. But that was 2 cheat days. So I only had one day where I was in a surplus, supposedly. But I had one day that was real close, within 100, which I also marked red because I wasn't sure if I was in a surplus or not. But I gave myself the benefit of the doubt and said I wasn't. Anyways, so that's the plan. Trying to stay in a deficit as much as I can for 16 weeks. Doing a strength training program where I'm doing the same workout twice a week. So 6 times a week, not the same workout only 2 times. So the same workout twice a week. So I bench on Monday. I overhead press on Tuesday. I squat on Wednesday. I'm going to bench when I get home tonight, which is Thursday. I'm going to overhead press tomorrow, and I'm going to squat on Saturday. I do cardio every day, and I try to be in a deficit. And if I'm going to have a cheat day, days don't come on a Sunday. Why? I don't know. That's what I'm doing. It seems to be working. I think my goal is to come out of this in good shape, ready to take my shirt off, to potentially get back in a wrestling ring, because I'm assuming that's possibly coming sooner rather than later.
Well, Georgia's opened up, or close to it, so.
Yeah, so Georgia's opened up, but they're still kind of sticking to the no gatherings of more than 10 people socially, which hurts events.
But I feel like y'all could figure out pay-per-views of some kind.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not ever going to get into a ring for an independent show if there's no people in the crowd.
That's
ever.
Fair.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair. And I was thinking of this when we were talking about UFC. I was like, that's going to be really weird. I mean, Joe Rogan says it. It's going to be really weird not having a crowd in any of these things, because people use that.
Yeah,
I mean,
energy.
I remember, going back to soccer, I remember being in a full crowd that wasn't even our crowd versus being in a 0-person crowd playing games. And it was just like, even if it's not, if they're not chanting for you, at least they're chanting.
Yeah, just that energy.
It's just the energy in the room.
I used to love away games in college and in high school. Yeah, well, my whole life, really. I loved being the away team because they were always cheering against you. And I felt like that brought out the best energy for me to perform well. So, yeah, man, crazy times. But they did one UFC right before Corona happened. They did it in Brazil. They did an empty arena, and it was strange. You could hear the fighters breathing as they were laying on the mat, getting pummeled in the face. So that was a good sound, actually, as a sport fan. That was a really good sound. Felt like I was in the room. But yeah, man, that's it's about what's been going on. Trying to do this little experiment. I've been talking about putting together a program for years because people always ask me, "Hey Gunner, what do you do?" Hey,
Gunner, help me lose weight.
yeah, let me lose weight. So would you do this or that if you were? Here's my favorite question of all time. How do I gain muscle and lose fat? That's my favorite one. You know why? Because you can't do it.
Can't do it at the same time.
Can't do it at the same time.
That's something I've always learned, like known in my head. It was just like, I don't need to be Gunner Miller size. I'd rather just be super skinny.
Yeah. Well, also, like, everyone has muscles. Some obviously are not as big as others, but everyone has muscles. Everyone can look in shape and lean if you can just see those muscles. So, just lose that fat.
Yeah.
And you'll see
Everybody
those
can
muscles.
have a six-pack if there's nothing in front of it.
Yeah. Pretty simple. Pretty simple. Easy does it. What else is going on out there in the world?
Man, there's no movies. That's something.
That's a good topic.
God, like me being the film guy.
Yeah.
Of the 3 film guys here. That's always here. The fact that there are no new movies right now.
Yeah.
Actually bums me out.
Well, I'm quite the Netflix expert, so we're going to talk about some film people.
I would say I do consider Netflix a viable platform. Amazon, Hulu, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But like seeing a movie in a theater is different for me.
I was about to ask that question because AMC Theaters released yesterday that they were no longer going to show any Universal Pictures movies.
What?
Because Universal Pictures released Trolls straight to streaming.
Yeah, right. Damn. That's interesting.
But then Universal came back with a rebuttal, and then AMC said something, like they're going to try to work it out. But AMC, the president of AMC, see if you can pull that up. Pull up the...
I'll try.
Yeah. The president of AMC, I believe, or the PR rep, came out and said that they were not going to show any more Universal Films movies.
Oh, that's even bigger. Regal Cinemas joins AMC Theaters.
So this is breaking news.
Yeah, within like the last hour or so.
Yeah, so
a day ago. Never mind.
So this all happened yesterday. But see if you can find the report. I'll read it.
That's crazy though.
There was it was like a tweet or an Instagram or just a written.
Come to think of it, yeah, Universal owns Fast and the Furious, James Bond, Jurassic Park, and any Lego movies. Yeah. All of those make money.
Yeah, all of them.
What are you guys thinking? I'm sorry.
They make all the money. Like they make out of the box.
Compared to Disney, no. But outside of Disney, yeah, Universal is number 2.
Yeah. Okay.
100%. God, that's crazy.
So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with that, but that brings me to this. Does the movie industry change a little bit? Because I enjoyed being able to purchase The Hunt and Bloodshot for $19.99 a piece.
I heard The Hunt was good.
They both were good.
Okay.
But yes, okay, so you haven't seen The Hunt. The Hunt, I would create a new category for it.
Really?
Yeah. Horror-comedy.
Yeah. I mean, we've been needing something that's different than horror and just comedy.
Yeah. But it's not like I don't think it's meant to be funny. I just think that
it is ironically funny from what I've heard. Yeah. It is definitely the movie where you have to be here and now to think it's funny.
Yes.
Anybody before us probably would have been like, wow, that's crazy.
That's a great way of putting it.
And then anybody after us is going to be like, wow, those clowns in 2020? Psh,
yeah.
Whatever. It'll become B tier before it.
Just the way they I feel like each movie like that has like a script it follows, like a template type. Build a character, build that character. You kind of know where the movie's going in a way.
I mean, every movie's like that if you think
this
about
one, not like that.
Oh, yeah.
Not like that at all. Every time it built, it came collapsing down, and I was like, that's weird. I feel like a lot of time that they put into people that they didn't need to. Anyways, but yeah, it was good. Bloodshot was good.
Which one's that one?
So it's Vin Diesel.
Oh, is it the one where like he can't die or something like that.
Well, he died, and they brought him back to life as a military
Experiment or something. Yeah.
and now he like can't die, and they put whatever, like they know that he likes to work off of revenge, so they keep playing this one scene of his life over and over again,
right.
which is them killing his wife. But they changed the person's face.
That's crazy.
That's killing his wife, so he just goes and kills that person. So
that's like some Total Recall level shit.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So whoever they want
that.
killed, they just have that person kill his wife, and then he goes and kills
Yeah.
him. Yeah. So it's good. Very like Reddick or
it's a Vin Diesel movie.
It's a Vin Diesel superhero movie.
No, but like thinking about it, Mulan would have already come out, and I was so excited for Mulan.
Bro, Top Gun 2
was
on its way out. Okay?
Yes, Black Widow. As a Marvel fan, I was gonna go see it.
What else was coming out? The Rock's Jungle Cruise.
Jungle Cruise, yeah,
was coming out.
He was really hyped for that one.
Yeah.
Everything got pushed back, and that's the weird part. Like,
but some things got pushed back over a year. Like Fast and the Furious is coming out not this April, next April.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Heck, I mean, even looking at like the other Marvel movies, because the Black Widow movie got pushed back, Doctor Strange and the new Thor Love and War or something like that, Love and Thunder, have to also move around. And that's so interesting because at the same time as that, Morbius, which is the Sony Spider-Man spin-off, like the vampire villain, that movie also got pushed around, as well as the third Spider-Man movie, which gets really exciting because if you're supposed to see Morbius before you see that third Spider-Man movie, maybe there's going to be some crossover.
That's a good point.
That's going to be really interesting.
With all these movies kind of intertwining with each other, you have them come out at a certain time.
And I think it's also interesting that because Black Widow also got moved, I don't think WandaVision and Winter Soldier and Falcon got moved around too much, but Disney Plus definitely had some shifts of like, there's probably something in Black Widow or WandaVision or something like that ties directly into each other, so we have to know it all at once. Otherwise, we stew on something that's probably wrong or something like that. You know?
Huh?
It's very interesting.
It is interesting.
It's been a fucked up year.
What else got pushed back for over? Oh, so I always go back to The Rock, but The Rock was filming. There's a show coming out on. It's the most expensive show to ever be produced on Netflix.
Oh, Netflix. Okay.
It's called Red Notice. The cast is The Rock. So it's like his debut at Netflix.
Okay.
Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, Jesus.
And Gal Gadot. Or Gal Gadot, whatever her name is.
What else did they all do?
So Wonder Woman, Deadpool, and The Rock.
All superheroes.
Yeah, it could be great. So they were in the middle of filming that when all this happened. But for The Rock, a guy that he puts a lot into his body for each role, he'll change his training. So, well... So he's training right now because he was going to film Black Adam as soon as this Red Notice was over. So now that's getting pushed back to like late summer, early fall, which means that I could only imagine if I was not having cheat days, I was zoning in on my training to look a certain way in 16 weeks, and then that 16 weeks getting pushed back and me having to like redo all my training without my trainer, stuck at home as one of the top movie stars in the world, trying to look a certain way for a movie that I've been trying to do for like 10 years.
Yeah.
A little frustrating.
Jeez. I can't imagine. Imagine being, who played Wolverine?
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman. Imagine being Hugh Jackman, getting ready for a Wolverine movie, and then coronavirus happening.
Yeah.
That'd fucking suck.
Yeah.
Because he would like, I don't know if you've ever heard the story. He would like go 2 or 3 days of just nothing, fasting and no water, just to have the best muscle tone.
He would do that right before he would shoot, like right before he knew he was going to be on film.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So,
but on top of being in the best shape of his life,
like the
constantly.
Yeah.
Jesus.
The scene in the movie where he comes up out of the water and he like does, you know what I'm talking about? You know exactly what I'm talking
about.
The Wolverine. Yeah. Yeah. He went a couple days without food and was like very depleted, dehydrated, and then you gotta do what you
Imagine
gotta
getting postponed off of that.
Jeez.
Jeez.
Yeah, I don't know.
Good for him. He doesn't have to do that anymore.
What else we got going on here? What else changed? But anyways, it gets back to the point to like, would you mind having the option to pay more for a movie to watch it at home than to pay for just a single ticket price?
See, I think it's key to know that we're in Chattanooga and I live technically in Georgia, where ticket prices really aren't that expensive compared to like San Francisco, New York, and other places like that, where if you compare Trolls on like the whatever it was on, I don't remember what it was on.
Trolls came out on
Amazon,
Apple,
yeah, something like that. But the $23 or $24 for being able to rent Trolls World Tour compared to their ticket prices to go to a movie theater is pretty comparable. You just don't have popcorn and spending all that shit. So I mean,
well, the way I looked at it, like I paid $19.99. I think it was like $22 after tax or whatever, for the Hunt and separately for Bloodshot. But that if I was to go to movies and watch that, I'd pay what, $9 for me, $9 for Tia, $5 or $6 for Marcus, $40 for popcorn.
Yep.
Because that's literally what it costs. It's ridiculous. $40 for a combo for two people, and end up spending $65 at the movies when I'd pop some popcorn, got some candy and a Coke. And
I think it's very important to take notice of the fact that Universal did that, because I remember when they announced it, I was like, holy shit, that's huge.
Yeah.
Because if these companies decide we don't need movie theaters anymore, we made more money selling out Trolls, well, selling out, quote unquote, selling Trolls 2 at home versus putting it in a movie theater. Why would we spend the money to print the DVDs or whatever for the projectors and marketing like that and all of that stuff, marketing materials for in theaters when we could just go digital?
Yeah. Movie
Theaters need to either shape up or get out. And I hate saying that because I love movie theaters.
Yeah.
Joker was the best. Joker and Blade Runner 2049, two of the best movies ever to see in theaters. And I would have had probably a worse experience had I just seen them at home.
Interstellar, if you've never seen that at the movie theater, you need to
I didn't get to.
Oh my God, Ethan.
I'm sorry.
That movie was incredible in theaters.
Oh, yeah. But, like, it especially IMAX. I feel like IMAX, a lot of people don't agree, but IMAX specifically, for the right movies, is probably the best way to see a movie.
What else was good? I'm just a nerd. Well, kind of. 300 was
300
great.
Amazing.
Great in the theaters.
Oh, yeah.
All the Fast and Furiouses are great in the theaters.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there is something to being in a theater that makes the movie a lot better than being at home.
I would also say this. If you can see, there are specific movies that if you see it on opening night are probably the best way to watch a movie, say for like an IMAX. Because seeing the last Harry Potter in a packed theater, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Seeing Endgame, Infinity War and then Endgame with, I'm pretty sure, the same crowd, because I went to Fort O and I remember seeing people, I was like, they look familiar. Were they here last year? And seeing the same movie with a bunch of people, there's nothing like... some people don't like when people clap in a movie theater, but there are specific points in like the last Harry Potter movie where it's just like, holy shit, that's the end of a storyline and it's very rewarding.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, that was a great piece of writing right there.
Well,
or Endgame.
Yeah, well, okay. I'm okay with someone clapping, cheering, talking, being on your... whatever you want to do in a movie theater. Just don't do it at the annoying times. Like when
you're trying to listen.
Like when you're like if the people on the screen are barely talking, you can barely hear them. That's not time for you to talk. Time for you to talk is when there's a bunch of shooting going on and it's like an action scene. I mean, or like at the very beginning when like the kind of the opening credits are happening, or
or when the credits are rolling. Sure, whatever.
Yeah,
Who cares?
Some people just get on my nerves though.
Oh,
or people that just try to be loud just to be that one person that's really cool at a theater. I don't know.
No.
I could stereotype on that if I wanted to.
You probably could.
Yeah.
You shouldn't.
I'm not. I could.
All right.
How long have we been doing this? An hour?
Yeah. That was a good hour.
That was fun. I think from here on out, when we come to this show, we should just like not talk and then just start the show.
Just never.
'Cause
Don't do anything.
a lot of times, some of the best conversations happen before the show starts.
They really do.
So I think that's gonna be my new rule. My new rule, and that was Tom. So Tom Green was on Rogan's podcast. If you hadn't listened to it, it was pretty good. Talking about
a little bit.
So Tom Green had the Tom Green Show, which he had in his own house, and that's kind of like where Rogan got the idea to put together the Rogan podcast. But he was talking about how he had the guy that ran. Is it? Who was one of the famous nighttime people? Night show. Carson.
Conan.
No.
Carson.
Is that the main one?
Johnny Carson.
Yeah. So his assistant / manager type guy, McMahon.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about? Is this
I think so.
Okay. He was on Tom Green's show.
Yeah.
And Tom Green was trying to talk to him before the show started. He goes, "Hey, Tom, don't leave it in the hallway."
Oh, yeah.
So pretty much just telling him, "Hey, bro, if we're going to talk, let's talk on air." So from there on, Tom Green, when people would come to his house, he'd be like, "I can't talk to you until the camera starts rolling." So
Makes sense.
new policy, chat with Gunner. If you come here, I'm not talking to you until we go live because I'm tired of missing out on good conversations or capturing good conversations. So just a little update on everything that's happening. Right now I'm in the progress. I was just lazy this past week and just wanted to get on here and ramble because I haven't had the opportunity to talk as much as I wanted to on here because I've been having so many great guests that I've been allowing to talk. But since it's Chat with Gunner, I wanted to chat a little bit about the UFC coming back, and I was excited about it. Anyways, this little update, trying to figure out some more people to come onto the show. Hopefully with things opening up and people getting out more here soon, might be able to get some people in studio. But if not, we can go back and do some more webcam shows. If you know of anyone that would like to do the show, reach out to us, chatwithgunner@gmail.com. If you have anyone that you would like to suggest be on the show that's in Chattanooga that I can reach out to me, chatwithgunner@gmail.com. You can put attention Ethan or Gunner, whoever you want to talk to. Either of us will respond. If Ethan responds, I'll probably not see it and respond anyways. But yeah, trying to get some more people in here, trying to just talk about some various things. And then about every month, I'm going to keep doing an update on this program that I'm doing, the little self-experiment with the calories in, calories out, and strength training. Trying to get ripped up, show you guys the results in about 16 weeks. Hopefully some wrestling comes back about. I'd like to get back in the ring a little bit. But honestly, the more that I stay away from it, the more I'm just kind of like, But at the same time, it's like, well, everybody else is having to restart. So I guess it'd be nice and fresh to restart with everyone else and kind of see how that goes. Is the crowd's going to be big? Are the people going to be excited to see wrestling? Or is no one going to show up? And everybody going to be too scared? So we'll see how that goes. But that's about it, man. So go over to YouTube. Like this, subscribe to this, and hit that little bell notification. Then, if you're not too busy, head on over to Apple Podcast. Where there you can type in Chat with Gunner, scroll down to the bottom, hit 5-star review, and write in the comment section, the best podcast in Chattanooga. You can also listen to this on Spotify if you don't have an iPhone. And there's a few other podcast sites you can check it out on. I just don't know which ones they are. So if you don't have Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube, you're messing up anyways, to be honest with you. You need to figure something out. That's it, man. So this was episode 18, just a nice little UFC review, nice little brain dump, as I like to call it. And we'll be back here again next week for the first episode of May. And we might have a guest, we might not. If we do not have a guest, I will come up with something. because it'll be fight week. I'm sure I'll be ready to talk about it. All right, bro. Take us home. See you guys.